Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of PILOTCLIMB.com. In today's video we are going to do the second part of the simulator preparation video series that we've been doing, okay? So in today's video we are going to fly our raw data Dme Arc followed by our raw data ILS all the way down to the minima. The weather for today is low visibility approach, low visibility with 25 knots crosswind, okay? Again guys, I'm doing this series in order to show you how do I prepare a possible pilot job interview simulator. Anyway, as I said already, every airlines has got their own simulator profile for the pilot interview, so I strongly recommend to do your own research about what you will expect for your pilot interview. But however, I'm doing this series because we are going to talk a lot. In the first video we've performed a raw data departure, we talked about VOR radials, we talked about Dme and Dme. We talked about how can you actually find out in which quadrant you are, and we're gonna do few examples now in today's video as well. And then as well as we talked about holding entries, okay, and then I gave you a lot of tips regarding the instrument scan, okay, what you should look on the PFD when you fly, okay. So I strongly recommend to watch the first part and then jump in here, okay. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. V1 rotate. Hi there, I'm Gabriel from PILOTCLIMB.com. I help you to become a better pilot, and if you want to support my job, please give it a like to the video. Okay, so I've been talking a little bit too much already, so let's jump into today's topic. As I said, okay, in the first video we have done a lot, but in today's video, what we are going to perform, guys, we are going to perform the a Dme Arc. Okay, so as you can see, the red aircraft, okay, is our position, and what we have got, we are going inbound ELBOD, which is this point in here, okay. We are in Bergamo Airport and we are performing. Today we're gonna fly over ELBOD, fly on Odamo, and then follow this 15 Dme Arc in order to get into LASAF and then follow the ILS approach, okay. Everything is gonna be autopilot off, auto throttle off, flight directors off, everything. Okay, so guys, I've been flying the real 737 for 12 years, and I tell you that flying the simulator at home is even more difficult for me because I'm so used to fly the real plane that when I fly the simulator at home, I don't really feel the aircraft movement. So if I won't be very precise, please don't blame me. Okay, I'm gonna do my best in order to do a good job anyway. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna perform the ILS. So let's do a quick briefing about the ILS X-ray, and then we're gonna fly it. Okay. We've got the localizer Bravo Romeo Mike frequency is already set in here 108.7. We've got the final approach course 284, which is already in there, and then we've got 4,000 feet is our platform altitude where we should join the glide open descent at 10.2, the point Bravo Romeo Mike in there. Okay, beautiful. Then we've got the decision altitude for our approach is a category Charlie. Oops, sorry, it's category Charlie. Our aircraft, so it's going to be 990, and I'm gonna set up the 990 here, the minima. Okay, so let me set up the 990. There we go. So let me see, 990. Here we go. It's coming. Okay. So 990, very good. And then what we've got, okay, so we've got airport elevation 782, which is set on the overhead panel. But guys, the focus of today's video is not to check how can you operate the Boeing 737, but is rather how can you fly raw data, okay? Then we've got terrain to the north of the ILS, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna fly over ELBOD, which is located on the Dme, okay, on the radial 165 from Bravo Echo Golf, okay, radial 165. And if you look in here, we've got Bravo Echo Golf already set on the VOR2, and then 165 is the radial that we are. The Dme that we've got now is 162, okay. Since we are inbound, that means that it is a 345 Dme inbound ELBOD, which is located at 17 nautical miles, Bravo Echo Golf. At the moment, we are here on the radial 165, as you can see from the red plane. However, we are on the distance 21.3, so we need to do another 4 nautical miles before going into ELBOD. Okay. After we cross ELBOD, we're gonna turn right. We're gonna perform this raw data Dme Arc. Okay. So what is a Dme Arc procedure? I made a separate video like 1 year ago where I talked about the Arc Dme procedures, but the Arc Dme procedure are one of the most challenging IFR procedures for a pilot, because it's not as you don't have to intercept a radial and fly straight, but rather you have to fly in a circle, okay, like an arc, as you can see here in this procedure, okay. So what is gonna happen after we fly up to ELBOD? We're gonna turn right and get inside this 15 DME, okay. So by regulation, you are established and you are within DME arc if you are plus or minus 0.5 nautical miles. So if after we fly over over ELBOD and we turn right, if we turn right, we are at 15.5 or 14.5, within 14.5, 15.5 distance, we are still within the arc, okay? That's our target, to stay within the protected area, okay? So it's 15 DME arc from Bravo Echo Golf, which is the ideal one. However, we've got 0.5 nautical miles of buffer area where we are still protected, okay? As you can see, we're at 6,000 feet and the arc, the minimum altitude is 6,000, okay? And now what we have to check, guys, in order to fly this DME arc, what happens is that the aircraft has to have all the time this arrow that indicates where the Bravo Echo Golf UR is, okay, has to be 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees, okay, it's going to be 90 degrees to the left. Why? Because we are flying the arc. That means that in order to fly in a circle, in order to fly an arc, the arrow has to indicate all the time that the VR is at our left by 90 degrees, okay, so the head of the arrow has to be in this position in here, because if you're flying on the arc, okay, you want to have your heading and your mic offset by 90 degrees, okay, minus 90 degrees, okay. In a second, we're gonna fly the Arc Dme. You will see that it will make more sense, okay. Now, guys, the problem is, if in order to fly in a straight line, what happens is that once we have the head of the arrow in here, okay, so it's indicated that our VOR is 90 degrees to the left, okay, we need to make sure that we've got as well 15 nautical miles, okay. And what will happen is that once we go 15 nautical miles and the arrowhead to the left by 90 degrees, what will happen is that if we continue straight, we're gonna go outside the Dme arc, because it's an arc. If you fly straight, you're gonna leave the arc on the left, okay. So what we have to do now, from time to time, we need to do small deviation to the left in order to stay within this arc, okay. So what will happen is that you will see that this arrowhead, once we turn, okay, we fly over ELBOD, we turn right, once we are over Odamo, this arrowhead should be here on the left, okay. And then by going straight, you will see that this arrowhead is gonna go down, so we need to correct to the left in order to bring the arrowhead to the 90 degrees or less 80 degrees, depending on the distance, okay? Because our target is to stay within the 15 nautical miles or plus or minus 0.5 nautical miles. I know it seems a little bit complicated now, but once we're flying, I hope it's gonna be clearer, okay? Another thing that is paramount that we check are these radials in here, the radial 136, radial 126, radial 114. Why? It's because after we fly on the radial 136, after we cross the radial 136, we can actually go down from 6,000 to 5,000. And after we cross the radial 126, we can go down from 5,000 feet to 4,000 feet. And the radial 114 is our leaving radial. What does it mean? Is that after we cross the radial 114, we're going to turn left to follow the localizer, okay, and get established in the localizer, okay. Now, the question is that during a pilot interview, they might as well ask you this question is, how can you check which radial you are if you're already flying the DME Arc, okay? If, guys, the head of the arrow of your RMI, the head of the arrow is going to tell you the mic. However, the tail of the arrow will tell you which radial you are. So once we are on the arc, okay, the tail of the arrow is going to tell us in which radial we are. So when the tail of the arrow is indicated as 136 initially, that means that we are over Bedix, okay. Then we continue, then the tail of the arrow is going to indicate as 126, that means that we can go down to 4,000. And once the tail of the arrow is going to indicate 114, that means that this is our leaving radial, we can turn left, okay? So guys, I hope this is kind of a clear. Now, I strongly, guys, if it's still not really clear what is this Dme Arc, I strongly recommend to watch the video I made about that, okay? So now, guys, as we said, we are 21.3 nautical miles. We are inbound ELBOD. So we've got the red aircraft there. We're going to fly over ELBOD. Then it's a right turn to follow the Dme Arc, okay? So, guys, I hope everything is clear. So next target, guys, especially on the pilot interview, my suggestion is that to have a clear idea of what is your next step to do. So our next step in this case, we need to stay focused in order to make sure we are on the Dme 345 on the radial 165. Okay, the reciprocal is 345, and our next target is to stay to get to the 70 nautical miles. That is the next target. The target after turn right and follow the Dme Arc 15 nautical miles. Okay, so let's go and let's do this. Okay, so I can actually do that, and let's start flying. I put auto brake 3. Okay, so again, guys, we need to check the Dme 345. Stay at 6,000 feet, speed 200 knots. 345 Dme is great. We've got 6,000 feet, 20 miles. Okay. Beautiful. So I'm gonna adjust a little bit the charts in order to make sure it's gonna be clear for later once we're gonna check the radials. So we've got 6,000 feet, and then, guys, I'm do a constant check: speed, altitude, Dme, and distance. Okay, so 18 miles, so 1 mile to go before we cross ELBOD, and then we're gonna turn right, okay, to join the Dme Arc. 7.3, 7.2, 7.1, 70 nautical miles over ELBOD. Let's turn right, guys. Okay, again, guys, when you have to turn right, you want to stay focused on the PFT in order to make sure that the aircraft doesn't lose any altitude. Here we go. We keep 6,200 knots, and you see Bergamo 16 miles. Okay, so Bergamo 15.8. 15.6 nautical miles, and our Arc Dme is going to be on the 15 nautical miles arc. Okay, so now, as you can see, guys, the head of our the head of the arrow, the green arrow there, guys, it's actually almost 90 degrees. Okay, if I stay like that, you see we are on 15.3, so we are actually on the arc. We are correct on the arc, and as you can see, if I continue straight like that, the head of the arrow is gonna go down and the tail of the arrow is gonna go up. Our Dme is gonna decrease and our Romeo it's gonna increase. Okay, so if I stop the simulator here for a second, to make sure that this is clear, because it's crucial, guys. So if we continue straight like that, okay, since we are going to do like that, you will see that the head of the arrow, our Dme, that indicates where the station is, which is in here. Okay, so what will happen is that if you continue straight, you will see that your arrow will start to go to the left, because it's always indicating where the VR is. So if you continue straight, you will see that the head of the arrow that indicates all the time where the Bravo Echo Golf is, it will start to go down, because we are going straight. So our target in order to fly in circle is to maintain this indication around 90 degrees and this distance around 15 nautical miles. Okay, so this is actually our target. Okay, so our target is to always keep this 50 nautical miles, 90 degrees. Okay, and with the Romeo, with the tail, we know which radial we are at the moment. This Romeo is indicating that we are on the radial 155, or around 150 degrees. So the next target is going to be radial 136. Okay, so we have to monitor this, we have to monitor that, and we have to monitor the distance, and of course you have to monitor your flight parameters, so your speed, your altitude, and your altitude. Okay, so let's keep going. 15.3, so I'm gonna go slightly to the left, because at the moment our distance is 15.3. Okay, so I'm gonna close a little bit to the left, and I'm gonna keep our Dme 80 degrees off of our heading. Okay, and then I'm gonna wait. Okay, I wait and I stay like that, and I check and I constantly monitor our distance, 15.3, so we are still within the parameter, within the limitations of the Romeo. Oh, sorry, of the Dme Arc. Okay, if I wanna get at 15 nautical miles arc, what I need to do, I need to turn slightly more to the left and take and go left by 10-15 degrees. In this case, I'm gonna close a little bit more, and you will see that our DME distance is gonna start to decrease because we are turning left, so we are closing our DME arc, okay? 15.3 as you can see in there. So and then we check next altitude, next target is the Dme 136, okay? So we are Dme 140, so we are getting closer to that, okay? Beautiful. So I turn slightly more to the left to have 80 degrees in order to stay within the 15 nautical miles. And now we've got the 136, the radius. So now we can go down from 6,000 to 5,000 and I start to go down, okay? Small correction, guys, and I'm gonna go only like 7 to maximum 1,000 feet per minute, okay? Beautiful, still within that 15 nautical miles, that's great. So our next target, guys, it's going to be the radial 126. That means that once we cross radial 126, we can leave 5,000, go down to 4,000, okay? And then I'm checking speed, altitude, and then I'm checking the Dme Arc, so I'm checking the Dme, I'm checking the Romeo to see which radial we are, and I'm checking the distance to make sure that we are within the 15 nautical miles. So next target, guys, radial 126. We are approaching radial 128, 127, and I can say now that we are around radial 126, so we can actually continue down to 4,000 feet, okay? And I make sure we stay at 200 knots and we descend to 4,000, okay, which is gonna be our platform altitude. Now I wanna turn a little bit more to the left, otherwise we are not flying a DME arc, but we are flying straight. So I close again and I take the arrow around 80 degrees, so I'm gonna turn left 10-15 degrees, okay, and then I continue straight like that, okay. Now 1 to go because we are descending to 4,000 feet, and our next target is going to be the living radial, which is at 114, okay. The living radial, as we said, is going to be our radial that allow us to turn left, intercept, and follow the localizer, okay. So we are still within the Dme arc, everything looks pretty good. We are descending to 4,000 feet, 200 knots, and the radial 114 we are approaching, so now we are 115. In a second we're gonna cross radial 114. So radial 114, so we start to turn left to intercept and follow the localizer and the glide slope, okay. So we're approaching 4,000 feet, the glide slope is alive, and the ILS frequency has been identified, okay. So now that we have flown the DME arc and you saw the radial and everything, we only have to follow and fly the ILS, okay. It's going to be raw data on low visibility with 25 knots of crosswind, okay. So now we can actually start to turn right, turn left, 4,000 feet we have, there we go. We're gonna level off at 4,000 feet. And I start, okay, we've got localizer alive, and I said flap 1 and start to reduce my speed, okay. I keep this heading in order to intercept the localizer, and I said flap 5, okay. Keep 4,000 feet. Localizer is alive, 20 knots of crosswind, that's perfect. Glide slope alive, so let's reduce to 180 knots. Beautiful. So 4,000 feet is in there, localizer is in there, and then glide slope is coming. We are reducing the speed to flap 5. Okay, I'm gonna start to turn left. Very easy at 5 degrees, not more. I'm gonna go back to 4,000 feet. There we go. So we are on localizer, and 1 dot before, guys, I'm gonna say gear down, flap 15, and then we're gonna follow the glide slope, okay? Keep 4,000 feet. There we go. So gear down, flap 15, all right, and the landing check is to flap. You should perform, okay? So now we are on glide slope as well, okay? And once we are on the glide slope, we always have to check the localizer. Once we are on the glide slope, we follow the glide slope. Here we go. So now we are on glide slope. I said flap 30, and that's gonna be our landing flap, and speed, we're gonna fly a speed around 140, okay? I have to do everything by myself, so I am becoming very busy, guys. So there we go. So now we are back. So we are on speed, we are flap, we are the gear, and the speed brake are armed. What we need to land, okay? Okay, so now I need to set 284 on the radiating, guys. I'm getting a bit busy. Okay, so 24, here we go. That's what we've got in there. So we are localizer, glide slope. Let's go back on the localizer. And now it is important, guys. As you can see, we've got 20 knots of crosswind. So it's important to fly track and not heading. Otherwise, you're gonna drift away from the localizer. Okay. Okay.
2500.
Check. So now I check my speed, okay, I check my localizer, I check my glide slope. Speed, attitude, glide slope, localizer, okay. That's a constant check that I'm doing. I'm a localizer. And now, guys, another important thing is to have clear in your head what should be your vertical speed that you should maintain in order to perform a nice 3 degrees ILS. And how do you do that? So let me stop the simulator for a second, guys. One thing that you should understand every time you're flying, okay, regardless of the type of the aircraft that you are flying, is to know what vertical speed you need to maintain a 3 degrees ILS when you are flying raw data, okay? Because you need to have an idea on your head what is your rate of descent required, okay? There is a very easy technique, okay, that you can use when you fly that is actually straightforward and you don't need to make a lot of calculations, and it's simply this: take your ground speed, okay, and you divide it by 2. What I mean by that is if your ground speed is 144 knots, okay, that means that you need, if you take 144, you divide by 2, is around 720, okay. So you need to divide the ground speed by 2 and add 0. So 144 divided by 2 is around 72. Add that 0, 720. Okay. In fact, if you look at my vertical speed now is 750. And depending on your ground speed, that can change throughout the approach, because when you are approach a localizer or glide slope like we were doing before, we were 200 knots. In that case, you need to keep 1000 feet for minutes in order to stay on the 3 degrees. However, when you lower the gear, lower the flap, and then especially on the landing flap, your ground speed is going to be a lot lower. Thus, you need to adjust your vertical speed in order to maintain the 3 degrees. Because if you maintain a constant vertical speed during the descent, you will find out that you're going to go below the profile because the aircraft is decelerating. However, you're keeping the vertical speed constant. And that's why it is important that depending on the ground speed, you check and correct your vertical speed. Okay, so I hope this is clear and we can carry on. Okay, if you look outside, you can already see the runway up there. Okay, so let me switch on some lights as well, guys, in order to make sure we see the runway on the end. Here we go. Okay, so let's keep going. Now let's go back on the glide slope. I stay around 1000 feet for minutes. Localizer is fine, speed is good. It is important, guys, during the last phase localizer, once you are on the localizer, is that you make small changes, okay? If you need to correct your localizer, don't bank more than 5 degrees, okay? Just keep small changes, because if you start to bank too much, then you're gonna over control the plane. As you can see now, I'm correcting back the localizer to be centered. I'm doing only 3 degrees of bank angle, okay? I'm not doing only, especially on the end, on the localizer, you don't want to do 25 degrees of bank to correct your localizer, okay? You really want to do small changes. Speed, localizer, glide slope, everything seems fine. You see, the localizer is slightly to the left. So if I want to correct my localizer, I'm going to go slightly to the left. So I'm going to go around less than 5 degrees to the left. I'll wait and then I correct back again. And then I'll wait until the localizer come back, and then I correct again with less than 5 degrees. Okay, now the localizer is back. 2-3 degrees bank angle is more than enough, and then I'll wait. Check.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Approach altitude set.
Mr. Approach altitude is going to be 4,000 feet. Okay, I'm not gonna set the MCP because I'm busy already trying to stay on the LS. We're gonna try a landing. Okay, I hope it's gonna be fine. Check. And guys, one thing in Bergamo, okay, the glide slope and the buppies are offset, okay? So if I follow the glide slope, we're gonna have 4 reds. Okay, I'm gonna try to stay on the puppies. Okay, so you will see the day. Check, continue. So if you see now, I'm gonna try to stay on 3 reds. Okay.
Minimums.
Continue there.
200.
Check. And as you can see, we have this drift due to the wind. Okay. So I'm gonna keep the center line, and then I'm gonna just do the big crab at the end.
40, 30, 20, 10.
So speed brake up, reversers are normal. Here we go. 180, 60. Okay, I stall the thrust reverser, retract the speed brake, and I stop the aircraft here on the ground. There we go. I set the parking brake, even though I should not do that slightly shortly after landing. Okay, guys. So as you saw, the most important thing, guys, that I want you to take on. Okay, that's during ILS, raw data ILS. If you need to do correction, the localizer, use small bank angles. Don't overdo. Like during the cruise, during the Arc Dme, during the holdings, you saw that we have been performing turns at 25 degrees of bank angle. However, once you establish on the localizer, if you see that the localizer is slightly to the left or slightly to the right, you don't want to use 25 degrees of bank angle, but you should use 5 degrees of bank angle. So do a 5 degrees bank angle turn. Then once you have a heading that is actually good enough to correct your localizer, level off your wing and wait and let the localizer to center back again. And then once the localizer is centered, go back at 5 degrees really slowly, nice turns, and then intercept and follow the localizer back again. Okay. It's a common mistake to overdo, overreact. So many people, I saw it, that when the localizer was slightly to the left or slightly to the right, they were using 25 degrees of bank angle to correct that, and that what happens is that you're gonna turn too much to the left, and then the localizer will go very fast to the right, and then they're gonna go back to 25 degrees to the right, and then they're gonna start chasing and following the localizer like a snake, and that's not what you want to do. You really want to do use small corrections, wait to the localizer to come back, and then once the localizer is back in the center, another small correction, center the plane, and that's it. Okay, the same applies to the glide slope. If you see that the glide slope is going slightly up and down, okay, what you need to do is just small corrections. So let's say you're flying at, you need 750 feet rate of descent in order to stay on the glide slope. If you see that the glide slope is slightly above you, you don't want to level off your aircraft, otherwise the glide slope is gonna fly just through your plane and you're gonna be high on profile. If you see that the glide slope is going above you and you are flying below the glide slope, instead of leveling off, if you need 750 feet for minutes to stay on the 3 degrees, you want to have a 500 feet for minutes rate of descent and wait the glide slope to come back. Once the glide slope is nice and getting and centered, you apply back 750 feet for minutes and you follow. Okay. Once you have the runway inside, guys, look at the runway, look inside and outside, okay? And then the closer you get to the runway, the more you want to look outside and aim for the touchdown zone. Okay, guys, so I hope you learned something about the Dme Arc, okay? If you have any question about Dme Arc or whatever you've seen in this video, leave a comment below and then I will help you out. Also go to PILOTCLIMB.com where you can book a private pilot training session with me, okay? So I wish you a great day and I'll see you on the next one. Check, we can set to 70, please.